Oh, it's slow. Stop the transcription. Right, let's do this. So the assignment has been released. I'm going to adopt my usual approach in terms of assignment preparation. So those of you that I know you weren't part of me last year, you would have done BMNG 7321 in first semester. So let's have a glance at the assignment. So there are a couple of things that are important. Give me a cover page, please, although you don't get marks for it. Give me a general introduction. For me, an introduction does three things. It grabs my attention, it gives me a reason to read further, and it tells me about the journey that you're taking me on in the actual assignment. From there, you'll see there are three questions. And please don't write body. Find a better heading than that because you don't have body. You have introduction and conclusion as headings. Body is not a heading. So find a better heading than that. Even questions would be perfect. You have 40, 40, and 10. And there, in terms of conclusion, tie everything together into a nice little bow. Now, this, I think, gives you in total the introduction and conclusion, gives you about, sorry, it's only 5 marks, but 5 marks is the difference between 60 and 65, 70 and 75, and 95 and 100. In terms of the rest, please just do an edit on your document. No, just create your own. A generic one will be fine. You can use your own. And then use of resources. Yeah, just give me evidence that you've had a look at 3, 4, 5 other resources. I think I did share additional textbooks on ARC. You'll see under lecturer resources, there are some textbooks that I've loaded. Guys, in terms of the use of AI, if you put this assignment into an AI and ask it to spit out the answers and copy the answers from there into the document, I will have an issue with that. And for me, AI is there to assist you in terms of your thinking, guiding your thought processes once you've written to improve your writing, etc. But the moment you copy from an AI into this, I consider that cheating, and then it becomes a referral process. Also, to just say, I don't refer. If I think you've cheated with AI, I just nail you in the marks. And I don't want to sound negative because this is still your qualification. And yes, AI is a reality. And yes, we need to use AI, but use it ethically. I'm not going to harp on that. Regrettably, they've not given us a lot in the bar two discussion. I mean, I don't know how we're supposed to use a half a page as a case study to draw answers from. I'm a bit perplexed by that, but you're another criticism as I start. Right, so let's start with the first one, winning in the marketplace, how to get a sustainable competitive advantage. We have to look at Batu's business level strategy. So in terms of the business level strategies, we know that that is learning unit 1. Based on the limited information that that is included in the actual case study, I believe that it is a differentiation strategy. So in terms of my slides, you are looking at learning unit 1, slides 26, 27, 28, 29. That's it. So the answer essentially is in there. Now, what is important in terms of what we expect from assignments at a third year level is how we blend together the theory with the application. So in terms of differentiation is always based on that specific word, uniqueness. And that uniqueness essentially allows us to charge more, creates customer loyalty, attracts customers who want to stand out from the crowd. There are a couple of things that help sustain uniqueness. And the most important one there is that you constantly look at research and design, improving designs, but also design expertise. And when we look at Batu's approach to shoes, there's a clear evidence of some sort of design expertise. We also, in terms of Batu, need to show how we address customer needs better. From my understanding is that Batu has a very strong, loyal following. a very broad following, and it's based on the fact that it is local. It addresses a variety of cultural issues, and then also it's based on their own competencies. Right. So if we look at the question here, so the first one, determine the business level strategy. In my mind, it's differentiation. If you want to argue that it's cost leadership and you can give me a proper argument, I will mark cost leadership. I don't mark with memos. If you want to argue that it is a combination strategy of leadership and differentiation, I will accept it. But your argument has to be very, very strong. Just to say again, guys, I do not mark with a memo. I mark what is in front of me, and it's based on your own argumentation there. Then we need to look at the advantages and disadvantages of the strategy. Again, going to Learning Unit 1. So the first one, in terms of Learning Unit 1, we've said the first question then is learning as slide 26. In terms of what makes a good differentiation strategy, and these are the kinds of things that you'll include in your discussion, and a clear sense of who we are and who our competition is. Advantages, you'll see that those of you that remember Porter's 5 forces from the previous semester, you'll see that the 5 forces are included here. So always remember, when you asked in terms of the business level strategies, advantages and disadvantages, always immediately just go and refer to Porter's 5 forces. So the first one, because of customer loyalty, it's very difficult for competitors to enter. In terms of suppliers can charge more because we can pass the increased cost on to our customers because our customers are loyal. Powerful buyers, where else would you go? So again, there is a significant advantage to the differentiator. And then substitute products, it's unlikely to break customer loyalty. And then I think because of the uniqueness of the product, it's very difficult for new entrants to come in. So remember, Porter's 5 forces. The disadvantages are there. Very difficult to be unique for extended periods of time, but also you've got to be careful that you don't only base your differentiation on things that can be imitated. So there's always something extra, something unique that you have to add, and you need to update and improve and reinvent. And then also, I think if we look at quality of services, etc., it does give additional security. So in terms of the second part of the question, so slides 28 and 29, the first part, 26 and 27. Right, so advantages and disadvantages. Guys, please remember this. And Ishan, I don't mind, but I don't mind whatsoever. This is hella important because I make a prediction here that more than 3/4 of the class will get this wrong. Generally, people then start doing their own interpretation in terms of the evaluation. That is not what you have to do. You have to go look at the specific criteria. And I know that even as I say this in this assignment prep, people will still not do this, guys. I've been teaching this. This is my 16th year of teaching this module, and I've seen it over 16 years. So to find the criteria that you use to evaluate the business level strategy, bugger. You go to Learning Unit 1 and you go all the way down to here. Those are the criteria that we use to evaluate business level strategies. Those are the criteria. So appropriateness, feasibility, desirability, etc., etc. So you will give me the criterion, you'll describe the criterion, and then you will discuss that criterion in relation to BAR2. So the first one, appropriateness. I think here you need to talk about whether this business strategy suits the organization internally in terms of its competencies, abilities, its strengths, etc., and whether it addresses issues in the external environment, the market environment, the pestle environment. And I think key in terms of this, the questions we ask, the first one, does it make sense in terms of the drivers in the industry, in the environment? Does it allow us to maximize what we have in terms of our own strategic capabilities? And then also, if we look at our stakeholders, does it address their specific concerns, their needs? So the second or the third part of the question, I think it is third part, you are looking at Learning Unit 1, slide 44. You're looking at slide 46, feasibility. And here we look at whether, based on the strategy that we're adopting, we're not stretching ourselves in terms of finances and resources, whether we can actually address the customer needs that are out there, and whether this will give us a competitive advantage. So again, does it link to our objectives? Have we got the money to essentially make this happen? And then also, can we do it efficiently and effectively? You'll also have slide 47. And here it really is looking at what the organization wants to achieve in the short and the long term. So from a desirability perspective, in the short term, does it meet our short-term objectives? And from a long term, does it give us strategic competitive advantage? And then 48, you are looking at consistency. And here it really is, does the strategy make sense in relation to the various levels of objectives, to the vision, the mission statement, the long-term objectives, the cascaded objectives, also in terms of the strategic intent. And generally the strategic intent would refer to the intention within an organization to be competitive. And then the last one, validity. This is about, second last one, my apologies. This is about the assumptions that we use in arriving at this strategy. What are the underlying assumptions that went before us in deciding this particular strategy? And my apologies, attractiveness to stakeholders. Essentially, is this what our stakeholders would want us to do? Does it sour the relationship with our stakeholders, or does it improve it? So in terms of the evaluation, and I'm going to harp on this one because I know people are going to mess this up, you will discuss each of those criteria and list and discuss each of the criteria, and then do the assessment of BARTU in relation to that. Guys, and then the last bit there, then based on your evaluation, you can then do your analysis there. Pull everything together in terms of that ultimate analysis. Does it suit the organization, and why? Minimum of 2 additional academic resources. Any questions, any comments on that one, guys? Anything that you're concerned about?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, of course, Mohammed, go for it, bud.
How much percent does this count to Business Management 3B?
So well, either the first assignment is 25%, the second assignment is 35%, the ICE tasks will be, oh no, sorry, 25% and 30%, and the ICE tasks count 10%. So your formatives count 65%. That gives you your baseline to enter the exam. Most of you will arrive having the 50% you need to pass the module, but then you have to get a sub-minimum of 30% in the exam. So this adds a quarter of the final marks. So it's well worth doing this properly.
So this my understanding is right? So
Yeah.
it's 65% for the assignments and the ICE tasks. We have to get 30% minimum when we do the tests.
Yeah. So I would make sure that I arrive with a really strong a formative mark. And then if you essentially have a very good formative mark, you only need a minimum of 30%. If your formative mark is shocking, that pushes a lot more pressure onto the exam, and you would have to get a much higher percentage.
Okay, thank you. So sorry for I'm coming for in this matter. I'm just asking because I just want to know, like, the pass mark and the various marking for the percentage of the assignments, because in my previous university we only knew about 50% was the pass mark, but I see it's a bit different. Like, you have to get
Yeah, well,
a certain
you
mark
you can fail all throughout, but it means you put a lot of pressure on your exam.
yeah. But like,
Okay,
let's
so
say you
yeah,
you pass above the threshold and you get 55% for this formative assignments and the ICE task, and you get to the exam, but you get like 30%, do you still pass?
yeah, you pass.
Hmm.
So long as you only need almost very little, then 30% will make you pass. But you need a sub minimum of 30. Okay, let's move on, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, guys, just to show you, this is the criteria that I would use. These are the criteria that I use to mark. You can mark yourself on the basis of that. Right. Question 2, your corporate level strategies. So here, which corporate level strategies are being used? So the first one, determine the corporate level strategy. So to go here, it's learning unit 3. Guys, based on what I see there, it is either market development or product development, but I believe that it is more likely to be market development based on the growth of the organization. So you'll remember, in terms of market development, is where you have a set of products and you look for new markets, and you will sell this current set of product to those new markets. If you're going to tell me it's product development, then you need to show how they constantly add additional shoe styles, shoe options in terms of their products. I would go with market development, because what I read in the case study, it is market development. So learning unit 3, slide 10, the first bit there, you might have to do a bit of extra research to do a bit more writing on what market development is. Right. The second one, you bugger. Okay. Advantages and disadvantages of the strategy. The advantages and disadvantages are not in the textbook, guys. So I don't have a slide for you to use for that. So you need to go and do additional research. You'll see that I loaded a whole bunch of strategic management textbooks, and I'm pretty sure that you'll find those in there. Okay, advantages and disadvantages. So just remember, guys, this is not in the textbook, so you're going to have to do additional research. And the reason I prefer for the previous one, the market development, because here it says recommend an alternative corporate level strategy, and then advantages and disadvantages associated with that. So the alternative I would suggest is product development, where they add additional shoe types, shoe designs to their existing product range. The advantages and disadvantages of that one, you are going to have to do your own research on. Right. Any questions, any comments? Everyone okay with that? There's no drama with that. There's no drama with that. Now, this one here, please note the word count there. Also note here, guys, the actual rubric that we're going to use. Insofar as the third question is concerned, question 3 is not in the new edition of the textbook. This is frustrating. Having said that, this is the answer. These are the answers. Fantastic English. These are the answers that you need to use. Okay, so this is from the previous edition of the textbook. 5 triggers that will be used to change a business model. So the first one is the idea that there are significant numbers of customers who haven't had access to your products, and they've stayed out of the market because the kind of solutions that you've had are too costly, The second one, new technologies have arrived that allows you to promote efficiency design for Bar2. And then the third one, I think the reality is that you can redefine the industry, which I believe Bar2 is attempting to do, because for too long we've defaulted to Nike and those kinds of brands. And then also, do we have to worry about low-end disruptors? Low-end disruptors are those individual organizations that start in a garage and grow very big. This allows you to constantly reinvent yourself. And then also, if the base of competition shifts, so if the base of competition shifts from maybe differentiation to cost leadership, you redesign your business model to take advantage of that shift. Okay, that is the assignment. Any questions, any comments? Now, let me just stop the recording because it's going to be messy. Guys,